Hey everyone, it's Sam from Cultaholic here to talk about everything that happened at WWE Night of Champions 2025. We're kicking things off with the King of the Ring finals, Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. So first time since 2013, Battle of the Legacy lads. Randy's incredibly over with the Saudi crowd, more so maybe than Cody, as with last night before the freezers. Cody also in red crushed velvet pants like some sort of Essex living room. A huge crowd response welcomes the opening match before either men even touch. A test of strength to start, but a very slow roll into this one. Randy seems to have the upper edge to begin with until Cody starts to shift into gear. A bulldog nets him a 2 with Randy kicking out. A huge superplex from Randy before Cody manages to capitalize with a disaster kick, but still no luck. Orton gets pulled to the corner post with Cody stretching Randy around it. Things slow down momentarily until Randers powers back up and lays in a textbook power slam. A Cody cutter then brings a very near fall, but Randy holds on. We get a draping DDT to a monster pop before Randy starts banging on the canvas, but Cody reverses an RKO attempt into a crossroads, and still Randy kicks out. Finally, we get an RKO, but Cody digs deep for that kick out and follows up not long after with a meaty figure 4. Rando manages to reverse the pressure though, and we reset into both men just trading straight up strikes. A second disaster kick attempt is met with a wonderful RKO, but Cody still manages to hang on. Randy goes for a chair, Lil Nate gets very angry and steals it away from him, being all like, "Randy, what you doing? Naughty, naughty." Randy, while Lil Nature's back's turned, exposes the turnbuckle. However, this proves to be his undoing as Randy gets sent rib first into that turnbuckle. He's met with a crossroads. 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes will now challenge for the title for the first time since WrestleMania. Next up, we've got Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez in a Riyadh Boulevard street fight. They both go back and forth to start proceedings, with Raquel managing to dump Rhea in the corner and take charge before tying Rhea's arms up in the ropes, striking the exposed ribs. She then grabs a chair and a kendo stick, and Rhea takes 3 shots from the stick, and then Raquel goes to nail her with a chair, but it's met with Rhea's boot, which drives the chair straight back into Raquel's face. On the outside, Raquel's sent face first into the steps before Rhea clears the commentary table. Rhea looks to send Raquel spine first into the timekeeper's barricade, but Raquel manages to power back, sending Rhea through the discarded hood of the announce table into the timekeeper's area with a beefy powerbomb. Raquel grabs a table and sets it up in the ring before setting up the steel steps on the apron. Rhea manages to avoid eating them, sending Raquel face first into them. She takes off her belt and starts to just whip Raquel around ringside. Back in ring, the whipping continues, followed by a razor's edge and a kick, but it's not enough to put Raquel away. Rhea locks in the prison trap, but Raquel is saved by an interfering Roxanne Perez, who gets suplexed onto the floor by Rhea for her troubles. Rhea then grabs a bin, sticks it over her head, and lays in a massive penalty kick before Raquel returns to capitalize on the distraction. Rhea's sent into the steps that are still on the apron, and then Raquel hits a corkscrew splash for a 2. Raquel almost gets sent through the table after a failed Tahana bomb attempt. The table is then moved up to the top rope. Raquel goes face first into it, Rhea clambers on top of it, and then she bounces Raquel's skull off it before hitting a huge riptide for the victory. Rhea Ripley, your winner. Next up, we move on to Karrion Kross versus Sami Zayn. As expected, Sami gets a massive response here, but Kross has a large pocket of support all of his own. A bit of showboating from Sami as Kross backs up the ramp a little bit before a beautiful moonsault from the barricade, putting Sami momentarily in charge. Kross then hurls him with a Saito suplex once they're back in the ring. Kross goes back on the offensive here, laying in kicks as Sami hangs in the tree of woe, then nailing him with some stiff shots as he laughs in Sami's face. Sami digs deep though and fights back valiantly, nailing an axe handle and setting Kross down for a top rope attempt. Kross, however, gets back to his feet quickly, once again putting Sami on his ass. Sami then goes for a blue thunder bomb, but it's met with another Saito suplex. Kross goes for the cross hammer, but a blue thunder bomb finally cuts him off for, surprise, surprise, a 2. Kross hits a series of released Germans here, and Sami then somehow manages to wriggle free for an exploder suplex in the corner, but Kross is straight back up. A cross jacket then ties Sami up, with all hope looking lost for him. One limp hand drop, 2 limp hand drops, but the 3rd time he fights his arm back up for a huge pop. A corner charge then happens from Kross as he begs Sami to admit that he's a liar, but a distracted Kross eats a haluva kick here for the big Sami win. He ain't no liar, no. Or if he is, he was the better man on the night at least. Next up, we've got Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa for the US title. Solo is immediately on the offense here, laying in strikes and driving Jacob into the corner, but that wily werewolf doesn't stay on the back foot for long. Jacob goes for a corner charge with Solo dipping to the outside, but as we all know, Jacob excels on the outside and he hits a flying clothesline from the steps. Jacob sets up for the moonsault and Solo once again slides to the outside where he cuts off a dive attempt and nails Uranagi's onto the apron and the floor. Solo then bides his time as Jacob slowly crawls back into the ring before giving him an earful. Jacob misses a corner splash, connecting headfirst with the ring post, and Solo hits a hip attack as Jacob lies in a heap. Solo then takes things to the mat with a lot more conversation about family and love and Jacob knowing his place, but Jacob's up all the way to his feet. Jacob then lays in some strikes and rolls out of a beefy German before hitting one of his own. Jacob then hits an impaler and a swanton, but it's only good for 2. Incensed, he goes back to the top and then JC Mateo runs out to distract the ref. All of a sudden, somebody emerges in all black. Is it the man of the hour? No, it's Tonga Loa. He hits a spinning neckbreaker on Fatu, but Fatu kicks out when Solo makes the cover. Jacob then dives to the outside, taking out Loa and JC. We get a pop-up Samoan drop on Solo. JC kept at arm's length when he climbs back into the ring. Fatu hits the moonsault while the referee's distracted dealing with JC Mateo. But then, finally, the man of the hour, bedecked in black, emerges. Hikuleu grabs Jacob by the ears, drags him out of the ring, and smashes him into the announce table with a chokeslam. Back in the ring, it's just textbook Samoan Spike, and Solo Sikoa is your new US champion. Next up, it's the Queen of the Ring final, Jade Cargill versus Asuka. Asuka wrestles with the sheer size and power difference here to start things off, but she's never really been afraid of a fight, has she? Jade takes a dragon screw through the ropes, with Asuka choosing to level the playing field here by targeting that leg onwards throughout the match. Asuka lays in some very stiff kicks before reversing a chokeslam attempt into a knee bar. Jade then powers through into a rolling wheelbarrow German. Jade starts laying in the strikes before a nice spinebuster and a fallaway, and she manages to finally connect with that chokeslam, but it only gets a 2. Both then just straight up trade strikes before Asuka lays in a backhand and sets to task, going up top for a huge missile dropkick, but again, it's only good for 2. A roll through from Asuka gets a 2, but she's met with a sit-out powerbomb for a 2 for Jade. Asuka then locks in an armbar as Jade struggles to roll out. Cargill gets a couple of nice pin counters here, but Asuka is firmly in charge, or at least that's how it seems. She lines up for the Empress Impact and gets caught into Jaded for the 3. Jade Cargill is your new Queen of the Ring. Future Naomi Shenanigans likelihood? High. And finally, we've got CM Punk versus John Cena for the Undisputed WWE Championship. An absolutely huge response for Punk's walkout, in stark contrast to the boos the other day, and then Cena makes everybody wait a little bit before getting his own huge chorus of John Cena sucks. A very tense beginning gives way to a side headlock from Cena and a test of strength before a reset. Things roll to the mat a bit, and from corner to corner, both men just feel each other out for a great deal of the opening stretch here. Cena goes for repeated pin attempts. Punk almost gets an early GTS before Cena rolls out to the floor. Punk lies in wait on the ropes, and then finally we start to kick into gear with Punk laying in some strikes and Cena almost getting an AA. We get a Russian leg sweep from Punk for a 2 before a modified octopus, but Cena once again powers out, sending Punk down with a boot to the face. 2 shoulder tackles lead to a 5-knuckle shuffle, but Punk shuffles out of an AA attempt to mount a comeback. Punk goes to the high rent district with a flying elbow, but Cena catches a GTS at the last possible second to roll it through into an STF. Punk claws to the bottom rope and manages to reverse it into an Anaconda Vice, and then a shock AA follows, but it's only good for 2. Cena goes for another AA, but it's cut off, and Punk goes for an STF of his own, but John gets to the ropes. Cena once again goes for a 5-knuckle, but Punk almost gets a GTS, which is spun straight into a second AA, with Punk kicking falling out again. Cena then sets up for a super AA, but Punk blocks it, going for a crossbody, but then he gets caught and laid out with a third AA, and again Punk kicks out. Having had enough, Cena then goes to the outside and tries to grab the title, brings it in, the ref is admonishing him, the crowd are chanting no, and then he has a bit of a change of heart and he throws it down. A fourth AA attempt is spun into another GTS, but Cena kicks out at 2. Both men then dig deep and start throwing hands until the ref gets caught on a Cena shoulder charge. Punk hits the GTS, has the title won, but now there's no ref there to count the pin. Punk beckons another ref, but instead out walks Rollins, Reed, Breaker, and Heenan, briefcase in hand. Seth takes his time at the bottom of the ramp, and then Breaker and Reed target Punk, who manages to fend them off with a steep dive, but he of course gets swallowed up and sent through the announce table. Rollins then beckons a ref, Lil Nate comes sprinting down and then gets hoofed by Cena, who goes face to face with Rollins. We get an AA on Rollins and Rollins rolls out. Breaker and Reed then target Cena, and then Penta runs down to even the odds, but Breaker takes him out. Sami Zayn then runs down and has a little bit more success, driving Breaker to the back. We then get a huge Penta dive off the massive ramp to lay them all out, and then Bronson Reed is setting up for a tsunami, but gets shoved off the top rope by Punk. Cena then powers him the hell up and AAs him. Cena and Punk then stand across from each other. Punk offers his hand, Cena accepts, they hug, and then Cena goes stone-faced. Punk cuts off a low blow attempt, goes for a GTS, and then Seth with the case lays out Cena, followed by a stomp to Punk, before Cena capitalizes quickly to take the 3. John Cena retains, and that is Night of Champions 2025.